There's a fossil that doesn't make sense. A perfect spiral of teeth, coiled like a watch spring, each point sharp and deliberate, found buried in ancient limestone, preserved for hundreds of millions of years. When you first see it, your brain struggles to place it. It's too geometric to be random, too organic to be artificial. The teeth are arranged in a sequence, smallest at the center, growing larger as the spiral unfolds outward. There are dozens of them, sometimes more than 100, each one precisely spaced, each one worn for use. But here's the problem. There's nothing else. No skull, no bones, no body. Just the spiral, lying alone in the rock like a piece of a creature that forgot to exist. When scientists first found these fossils in the 1800s, they stood in museum halls turning them over in their hands, trying to imagine what kind of animal could grow such a thing. Was it a weapon? A tool? Some kind of defensive spine? They began drawing reconstructions, creatures with spirals jutting from their tails, sharks with coiled horns on their snouts, sea monsters built from guesswork and desperation. Each decade brought new theories, each theory more bizarre than the last. Because whatever owned this spiral lived 270 million years ago in an ocean that no longer exists. And for over a century, we built it wrong. The animal had a name, Helicoprion, the spiral saw. But we didn't know where the saw belonged. We didn't know how it was used. We didn't even know if the creature we imagined looked anything like the real thing. We were building a monster in the dark. And the spiral kept its secrets, coiled tight, waiting for us to finally understand what we were looking at. The phantom shark, building monsters from fragments. The first scientists to study Helicoprion faced an impossible task: reconstruct an entire animal from a single spiral of teeth. In 1899, a Russian paleontologist named Alexander Karpinsky proposed the spiral grew from the shark's lower jaw, curving outward and down. Others disagreed. Maybe it was a dorsal fin, a serrated spine running along the creature's back. Or perhaps it grew from the tip of the snout, a coiled battering ram. One reconstruction showed the whorl attached to the tail, whipping through water like a circular saw. Artists drew Helicoprion with the spiral positioned vertically, horizontally, internally. Each interpretation looked equally alien, equally possible, and equally wrong. The problem was fundamental. Helicoprion was a cartilaginous fish. Like modern sharks, its skeleton was made of cartilage, not bone. Soft tissue that dissolves, that disappears, that leaves almost nothing behind. If every shark on Earth died tomorrow and we tried to reconstruct them millions of years later from fossils alone, we'd barely recognize them. We'd have teeth, occasional spine fragments, ghosts of creatures we could never quite see. That's what Helicoprion was, a phantom. For decades, paleontologists cataloged new species based solely on different whorl shapes. Helicoprion bessonovi, Helicoprion davisi, Helicoprion ergasamenon. Each one identified from a whorl found in isolation, with no way to know if these were truly different animals or just variations within the same species. The frustration grew. New discoveries kept arriving. Whorls from Russia, from China, from Nevada, from Idaho. Sometimes small, the size of a fist, sometimes massive, nearly 2 feet in diameter. And still, no complete skeleton, no skull, no evidence of how these pieces fit together. Scientists were working blind, trying to solve a puzzle where 99% of the pieces had been erased by time. And the ocean that could have shown them the answer had been gone for 250 million years, the Permian Ocean. To understand Helicoprion, you have to go back, not just years, but eras. Not just to a different time, but to a different Earth. 270 million years ago, the Permian period. This is before the age of dinosaurs, before the Triassic, before the extinction event that would reset nearly all life on the planet. The continents are fused into one massive landmass, Pangaea, and surrounding it, a vast, warm ocean. The Permian Sea is alien in its familiarity. There are no whales, no sea turtles, no coral reefs as we know them, but the water is alive. Ammonites spiral through the depths, their chambered shells catching light. Early ray-finned fish dart between ancient sponge gardens. Creatures that look almost like sharks, but aren't quite, cruise through the open water. This is a transitional ocean, evolution experimenting, life trying forms it will later abandon. And moving through this world, silent and efficient, Helicoprion. They could reach 25 feet long, larger than a great white shark, fast swimmers, powerful, built for the open ocean, apex predators in a sea that had never seen them before. But here's what makes them strange. The Permian Ocean was full of crushing jaws. Everywhere you look, predators evolved to crack shells, to pulverize armor, to break through the hard defenses their prey had developed. The arms race between predator and prey had escalated to bone-crushing force. Yet Helicoprion went a different direction. That spiral wasn't built for crushing. The teeth were blade-like, serrated, designed for slicing, which means Helicoprion was hunting something soft, something that didn't need to be broken, only cut. But what? And more importantly, how? The ocean holds the answer, but the ocean is gone, and we're left holding only the blade. The breakthrough. For over a century, the mystery remained unsolved. Then, in the early 2000s, something remarkable was discovered in Idaho, a Helicoprion fossil, but this time it wasn't just the whorl. There was a skull, partial, fragmented, but preserved in a way no other specimen had been. And critically, the tooth spiral was still positioned exactly where it had been in life, locked in place within the stone, undisturbed for 270 million years. Scientists knew this was their chance, but the skull was too delicate, too embedded in rock to physically dissect. So they turned to technology that hadn't existed when Helicoprion was first discovered: CT scanning. They placed the fossil inside a medical scanner, the same machines used to image human bodies, and began taking thousands of cross-sectional X-rays. Layer by layer, the computer captured the internal structure, the cartilage that had somehow partially mineralized, the position of the whorl relative to the jaw, the architecture of the skull itself. And then, digitally, they peeled it apart. What emerged on the screens was shocking.
The whorl sat in the lower jaw, not at the front like a horn, not underneath like a defensive spine. It was positioned at the back of the mandible, nestled in a groove of cartilage, with the spiral curving upward and inward toward the roof of the mouth. When Helicoprion closed its jaws, the whorl rotated forward. The oldest, largest teeth at the outer edge of the spiral made contact first, pressing against the upper jaw like a circular blade meeting a cutting board. It was a tooth conveyor belt. As new teeth grew at the center of the spiral, older teeth were pushed outward along the curve. Nothing was shed, nothing was wasted. Every tooth the animal ever grew remained part of the weapon. But here's what stunned researchers. There was nothing like it, not in the fossil record, not alive today. Evolution's strange paths. Understanding where the whorl belonged didn't answer the deeper question: why did it exist at all? Helicoprion wasn't alone in having strange teeth. It belonged to a family called eugenodontids, an entire group of cartilaginous fish that experimented with bizarre dental arrangements. Some had tooth clusters, others had blade-like symphyses, but Helicoprion took it further than any of them. The whorl was an escalation, an evolutionary arms race taken to an extreme. Scientists believe they were hunting soft-bodied cephalopods, ancient relatives of squid and octopus, creatures with no shells, no armor, just flesh. The whorl would have sliced through them efficiently, precisely, a specialized tool for a specific prey. But specialization is a dangerous game. And then came the Great Dying. 252 million years ago, the Permian period ended with the most catastrophic extinction event in Earth's history. 96% of all marine species vanished. The ocean became acidic, oxygen depleted, hostile to nearly everything that had lived in it. Helicoprion survived the initial collapse. Fossils show they persisted into the early Triassic, but not for long. Within a few million years, a blink in geological time, they disappeared completely. Did their specialization doom them? When the soft-bodied prey vanished, could they adapt? Or was the whorl so specific, so finely tuned to one kind of hunting that it became a liability when the world changed? We don't know. And there's another mystery. We still don't fully understand the mechanics. The CT scans showed us where the whorl was, but not exactly how it functioned. Did Helicoprion bite down and saw back and forth? Did it slash and retreat? How did it manipulate prey into position? There's no living animal to compare it to, no modern behavior to reference. We found the answer, but the answer only revealed how much we're still guessing. For 114 years, Helicoprion was built wrong. Artists drew it with spirals jutting from its nose. Scientists debated whether the whirl was external or internal, offensive or defensive. Museum displays showed reconstructions that were pure imagination dressed as fact, and no one could prove otherwise. This is the humility paleontology demands. When the evidence is fragmentary, when soft tissue is gone and only the hardest parts remain, we're forced to make educated guesses. Sometimes those guesses are close. Sometimes they create monsters that never existed. Helicoprion isn't unique in this. For decades, we reconstructed Iguanodon with a horn on its nose until we realized the spike belonged on its thumb. We drew Deinonychus standing upright like a man in a lizard suit until we understood dinosaur posture. We imagined Spinosaurus as a land predator until fossils revealed it was semi-aquatic. The history of paleontology is a history of revisions, of being wrong, then less wrong, then closer to right. But here's what's unsettling. Helicoprion was corrected because we found a skull with the whorls still attached. We got lucky. Most creatures don't leave behind that kind of evidence. There are thousands of extinct species known only from fragments, a tooth here, a vertebra there, pieces of animals we're still building in the dark. How many of those reconstructions are wrong right now? How many museum displays show creatures that never looked like that, never moved like that, never lived like that? We won't know until we find more fossils, and for most extinct species, we never will. The deeper you go into the fossil record, the more it becomes clear we're not reconstructing the past, we're interpreting shadows. Educated guesses refined over time, but still guesses. And some creatures, like Helicoprion, guard their secrets until the very last moment. Picture the Permian Ocean one last time. Warm water, filtered sunlight, and Helicoprion gliding through the depths. That spiral rotating forward with each bite, slicing through prey that vanished with it. An entire world, an entire way of hunting perfected over millions of years, and then gone. The extinction came. The ocean chemistry changed, the prey vanished, and Helicoprion, for all its evolutionary refinement, couldn't adapt fast enough. The spiral that had made it an apex predator became a relic of a world that no longer existed. Today, the whorl sits behind museum glass, a coiled mystery finally understood, but only recently. 2013, that's when the CT scans gave us the answer. For 114 years before that, we looked at it directly and saw it wrong. Think about that. A fossil discovered in the 1800s, studied by generations of scientists, illustrated in countless books, and we only just figured it out. The spiral is a fitting symbol, not just for Helicoprion, but for the nature of discovery itself. Every answer we find reveals another layer of questions spiraling inward. We never reach the center, we only get closer. And it makes you wonder, what else are we looking at right now in museums and laboratories around the world that we're still getting wrong? What other creatures are we building incorrectly, confidently, waiting for a future discovery to correct us? The fossil record is vast, but it's incomplete. More gaps than knowledge, more absence than evidence. We're holding pieces of a world we can never fully see, building monsters from shadows and stone, hoping we're close to the truth. The spiral keeps turning, and we're still following it down into depths we're only beginning to understand.